we'll start with Greg Hunter. Go ahead, Greg.
So, Coach, in the open week, what were the biggest points of emphasis that you tried to get your offense to work on?
Yep. Hey, Greg. You know what? It's just a continuation of what we're trying to build. So you try to build it off the standards and personality of our football team and kind of who we need to be. And then schematically and fundamentally, you're just trying to continue to grow these guys because we're still young, you know. And so all we're trying to do now is develop some consistency, continue to grow our run game, give these guys confidence and throw and catch and kind of get a feel for who we are and who we can be in the pass game. So again, not anything other than the typical cliche answer, I guess, but it really is. It's about us right now. Learn how to execute, learn how to respond to negative results, which I think is the most crucial piece of all this, but especially with a young football team. So I think our guys just continuing to know how we need to respond in order to get better results when we go out there.
Next question is from Cody Nesper. Go ahead, Cody.
Hey, Jared. So Neil told us that the wide receiver reps are probably going to look a bit more even this week. And I wanted to ask specifically about three returners who we haven't seen a lot, Ollie Jennings, Isaiah Esdale, and Sean Ryan. Just, are they working into the game plan or how are they doing right now?
Yeah, they're all three doing well. Ollie's coming back from a pretty significant hamstring that he's had to manage, and so he's working himself back into it. Sean's been inconsistent, and really as he develops a consistency to him and learns how to practice the right way every day, which we've talked at length about, I think he can really play at a high level for us. And then Isaiah is the same thing, just developing consistent practice habits to find a way to find reps on the field to help us on game day. So all three of them are still grinding and battling and fighting a good room that we've got to develop full consistency in. So they're all, those reps are going to trade out, and it's going to be a good chance for everybody to get on the field and play in different spots and run around and play at a high level.
Ryan Pritt is next. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, Jared. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I made a little bit of an observation there against Baylor. I noticed, I think the very first series of the game, you hit Letty on a screen pass, and it worked for 18, 20 yards. And there were a few screen passes in that game where maybe against Oklahoma State, I don't recall seeing many there. And obviously when you're an offense and your quarterback's taking shots and you're getting blitzed a pretty good amount, that's a pretty logical answer to that. Is that something that you guys have been slowly working into the game plan? Will that be a more, consistent part of the game plan moving forward, especially with, two running backs that catch the ball pretty well and a bunch of wideouts on the outside? That's got pretty good speed.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great observation, Ryan. We have to continue to grow our screen game. We've talked as an offensive staff. It's one of those things where certain defenses give you tough looks to throw screens into, our defense being one of them. So what's the secondary effects of that is you go through a complete fall camp and you don't get a chance to maybe use the screen game as much as you'd like because you're facing our defense. And then as the season develops, you get into an offense and face pass rush and want to get guys in space and you want to throw screens more. So it's on all of us to continue to grow that package. So it'd be fair to say we want to keep on growing our screen game, and it gives our offensive line a good change of pace, allows them to get in space and run, alleviates some pass rush and those things. So you're spot on. It's something we got to continue to grow, and we will.
Go ahead, Michael.
What types of strides do you hope to see from Jarret Doege this week?
I didn't hear your question. Sorry.
Go ahead, Michael.
What do you hope that Jarret Doege improves upon on Saturday?
Gotcha. Yeah, I think with anything, and again, as we talk about the quarterback position, that's the tough one. Everybody's looking at you. Everybody's got something to say about every decision you make. It's like welcome to coaching and parenting, right? So there's a lot to it. Listen, we trust Jarret Doege. I trust him. The staff trust him. And now, more than anything, again, his biggest thing is trust himself. Be a decisive guy in the pocket, make great decisions, trust his training. And I think that's going to be what you're going to see better and better out of him, is just him trusting it. And then, of course, I think you saw in his first series, what we made a lot of effort in that improvement to that next game was him being able to move things with his feet. If he doesn't like 1 and 2, just to fix it and go ahead and jump the pocket. He did that in the first series and ended up us scoring a touchdown. So I think him just trusting what his training is, and that is, hey, trust his progressions, fix things with his feet when he can, and be a great decisive decision maker. And I think if we do those things and he does those things, our offense will grow and grow the right way.
To John Antonic, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, just give me some of your thoughts on the Kansas defense. I know they're young in the secondary, but Coach Elliott's had a track record of taking young defenses and developing them. What do you see from them right off the bat?
Yeah, you see their youth. They're starting to play around with fronts and predominantly a 3-down front that's going to have a chance to apply edge pressures and those things. You see their youth, but at the same time, they're starting to grow and get better production out of their secondary, playing a young corner in number 9. The linebackers kind of stick to the box, but their defensive front is going to move on us and give us different looks, and especially in primary yardage situations, short yards and those things, you're going to see different fronts that always make you be on point because you've got to be able to ID correctly. And so a big point for us in these off weeks and 2 weeks has been to prepare in communication to make sure we ID correctly. There's a lot of respect there with Coach Elliott. I know him and Coach Brown have a history that dates back through Kentucky as well. So got a lot of respect for what he can do in a young front. And anytime you play a 3-down front with multiple ways to get to different things and blitz packages, we've got to be on point in our communication, or else that equals tackles for loss or sacks.
Back to you, Greg.
Jared, was wondering about the status of Sam Brown. Started the first game. I don't believe he's played the last 2. Just where is he now? What's he need to improve on? What's he do well? Those type of things.
Yeah, it's a good question. With any young special player that's got a chance to really show great promise, dating back all the way back to the days at Marshall when we played some young guys, and I think the biggest thing is if you're not careful, those guys in playing game 1, which we had to do because of some other circumstances, that puts a thought in many people's head, media, parents, family, the player, that maybe that it's that easy. And I don't think that it's fair because Sam Brown is special and he's going to be a great player. But as I've said, coaching's good parenting. You know, he's got some habits that what we've discussed about that he's got to continue to grow upon, and being accountable and knowing what it means to be a great player all the time and not just on game day. So that's all he's doing. He's growing like every freshman has to. You know, he's learning how to practice the right way. He's learning how to be at lifts at 6 a.m. on time and ready to work, and embracing what it really means to be a college football player on a consistent basis. And he and I, Coach Brown, have had at-length conversations about him continuing to learn that, because as he learns that, it develops trust not only in him but for himself. And then once he breaks those habits and knows what it means to be a consistent, detailed football player on and off the field, I think we'll all see how special he really is. And to answer your question in full, he is really embracing, especially the last 2 weeks, he is embracing learning what that means and understanding that we've got his best interest at heart and learning to be that. Because if we ignore those little things now, they get multiplied later. You know, and what he's learning is we're trying to have his best interest at heart for him to form great habits that are going to make him special long term, and not just trying to get him out there on the field and find results on game day in the short term, which I think is a very slippery slope. So I know that's a long answer, but we think very highly of him, and he's just learning how to be a college football player. That's all, you know, and he's going to be a very good one.
Last couple in the queue here, Coach. We'll start with Ryan Pritt.
Hey, you know, as Neil was talking about earlier, you guys are about to embark on a series of 5 games in 5 weeks, which is unlike anybody else in the league, obviously a long stretch. And, you know, as he pointed out, your passing game numbers are actually pretty decent, except for really the main problem is getting the ball down the field. And obviously that's a bunch of different factors, I'm sure, that you could go into. But I guess with that kind of stretch looking at you, with you coming off of your last bye until mid-November, how important is it this Saturday to kind of get some success on that end, get some confidence on that end with that kind of stretch looking at you right in front of it?
Yeah, I think we all know that answer, right? We better have some good results and improve. But yeah, if you're not careful, that's why I've always, like I have said going through this, if you got to be very careful of what stats you kind of let enter your mental real estate, so to speak, because they matter. Nobody's going to say they don't matter, right? But if we're not careful, you'll let things affect you way too far one way or the other. And that's the results-driven business that gets, very slippery as well. So I think that, of course, we need to push it down the field and find ways to get the ball vertical better. That's on us as a staff. Me and Coach Brown are responsible for making sure we get it done, and then it's picking the times to do it. But our guys have put in way too much investment in being able to make plays down the field and run vertically, and we've got some talented guys. And the only way that we're going to grow that package and grow those guys into becoming that even more so for the future of the program is to do it. And then the trick is being able to do it and then not get real tore up if a ball hits the ground. And if it does, we just need to do it again. And if we hit on 5 or 6 out of 10, we got to feel really good about how that looks. And that's the reality of it. And I equate it all the time to basketball because of the background of that is nobody really a really good three-point shooter. Stephen Curry doesn't worry about missing a three-pointer. All he's going to do is shoot 5 more, and probably he's going to put 4 of them in. I think that is the key to pushing the ball vertically and throwing it down the field. You got to be so confident and believe that if you don't hit the first one, the next one's going to, and if that one doesn't, then you got to do it again and trust it too. So, again, I just think it's all a mentality. And it's from back from where I grew up, there's an old adage that you can't win the Kentucky Derby by screaming, whoa. And it's the same thing in being an offensive mindset type team and who we are in offense. We don't want to sit there and say, whoa. We want to say go, 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 push the thing, trust our guys, empower them to be confident, and then see what the results are after the game.
Okay, Mike, go ahead and take our last question.
Gerad, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing great too. Thank you. I had a question about Gerad, but something you said piqued my interest about the trust. Did he lose that for a little bit? Was he uncertain or maybe not as tight with that as he wanted? And secondly, all the stuff you're talking about with mechanics and routine, and correct me if I'm wrong here, he seems pretty comfortable, pretty confident moving around outside the pockets or handling RPO stuff and shifting and throwing too. How much of that stuff can you give him that's on script a little bit, but also lets him improvise some?
Yeah, I think I don't think he lost trust in himself per se, but I do think that anytime you don't have the successful outcomes that you're hopeful for or know that you're prepared for, it'll stun you. I think it does that in any profession. I think it does it to us as coaches, players, everything. So then the greatness lies in the one that's able to stand back up and say, all right, we're good. I got shocked a little bit here. Let's go. And I think he got to that point. But it was kind of a tough run in the last game where you have a little bit of bad luck, then you make a bad decision, we get hit, things kind of snowballed, and being able to stop the snowball is vital for him. I do think that he has become a great decision maker in our RPO game, and it showed up for us and helped our run game. And he's continuing to find ways to, in his ways, to fix things with his feet and improv. He done that more than what you would probably think in the Oklahoma State game that got us out of some jams, that allowed us really to get in some scoring situations. So he's growing it, and with that, it allows you to really trust it when you're making decisions on what plays to give him.